this is where Houston gets a lot of its scoring.
Steve Francis and Cuttino Mobley matched against Doug Christie and Mike Bibby. This is the kind of game that Steve Francis loves to use as a statement game. Bibby's going to have to do a
better job defensively than he's been doing of late.
And before we tip off, our
teams. They're 21-3 at home. They're 9-9 on the road. They've lost 2 in a row and 4 of their last 5 on the road. I asked Bobby Jackson about it. He says we lack intensity on the road. We lack concentration, and therefore we just do not play with any energy, particularly at the start of the game. He thinks it's all correctable, and he thinks they need to start correcting it right now because they're at the halfway point of the season. He said it's all mental. We need to start tonight against a good team. Jim?
Right now they come in at 30-12 overall, and Jim Gray mentioned they're 9-9 on the road. The Rockets just 25 on the road and just 19 at home, where they're 14-5.
In the end, it all catches up to you. But right now, with the Rockets surging, capitalizing on this great stretch, they're using look for them to come out on top of their game after the tough emotional loss at Miami Monday night for Houston.
Cato and Divac, and the tip controlled by the Kings. Sacramento Kings leading the league in scoring. The Rockets lead the league in defense.
Something's got to give.
Divac missing. Yao the rebound.
Try to get body involved early. Attack Yao Ming. Keep him on the move.
Steve Francis matched with Bibby early. Jim Jackson guarded by Stojakovic, and that's the matchup at the other end. Underneath is Cato. Pretty good find by Steve Francis.
Well, Jim Gray talked about starting sharply and crisply, particularly on the defensive end. That was a complete breakdown.
Christie shoots over Mobley.
Nothing on the offensive glass early for the Sacramento Kings.
Jim Jackson. Cato with a touch. Mobley trying to go to Yao Ming, and it's stolen by Christie. Christie with a throw ahead to Stojakovic, but the Rockets are back covering defensively.
Transition defense, Jeff Van Gundy telling us that'll be critical for the Rockets' success tonight.
Miller throwing the pass to Christie, who sets it up for Divac. And Jim Jackson corrals the loose rebound. So the Rockets, who only give up 83.5 points a game, that on target perhaps for an NBA record for a season. San Antonio doesn't give up very many either. Yao Ming over Divac.
Established. Yao Ming only takes 10-11 shots per game. That's not nearly enough.
Yao Ming the other night in Orlando had a career high 37.
Poor Andrew DeClerc and Johnny Davis.
Outside shot won't go for Christie, and a loose rebound is tracked down by Mobley. Sacramento opens 0 for 4.
Beautiful pass, Jim Jackson.
And the rebound tipped away. Francis has it. Jim Jackson for 3.
We're seeing the inside presence of the Houston Rockets versus everything trying to be developed by Sacramento from the perimeter.
Jim Jackson leads the Rockets in three-point field goal accuracy, 396 starting play tonight. Divac takes up slack and draws the foul.
Jim Jackson's also playing 38 minutes a game. Van Gundy telling us that the dream for Jim Jackson coming over from Sacramento was going to be maybe playing 20, 24.
But you know, the thing about it, though, Bill, is wherever he's been lately, he's made the contributions, whatever has been called on him. Which what a complimentary player he is. But Jim Jackson.
What makes it so remarkable is that he's unable to stick at all these different places. And they wanted him up in Sacramento, but because of the financial considerations, they had to let him go, and he got a nice multi-year contract down here.
Ronnie Divac gets the Kings on the board after the Rockets opened with the first 7. That foul, by the way, was on Cuttino Mobley. Francis giving to Mobley. Overthrows Yao Ming in the post, and it's stolen by Divac. It's a tough one to do.
Well, 2 times tonight, Cuttino Mobley, just horrendous post feeding.
Christie working underneath.
The intimidating presence of Yao Ming.
Jim Jackson away with the rebound. Jackson over Miller.
But that's a perfect example of how the team is losing confidence in Kelvin Cato. Cato was wide open, and Jim Jackson said, you know what, I'm going to take a very difficult shot because Cato's just not getting it done in the offensive end.
Peja Stojakovic trying to shake loose. The shot clock at 8 as Miller drives into Ming and lost the ball in the process. Mobley missing, but retrieves his miss.
No.
Retrieved his miss and sticks the 3. Hey, Bill, he got the 3 and the assist.
The guy's got 2 turnovers. The guy's got getting burned by Doug Christie. The rest of the league already knows things are different here in Houston.
And because Yao Ming gives you that effort, not just at the defensive end, but the offensive, that's the reason that stamina becomes an issue with it. Bibby launches, and that's the first field goal for the Kings in the game.
And the first shot for their 3 top scorers. Peja, Bibby, and Miller, up till that timeout, had not attempted a single shot. Yikes.
They've had 9 possessions. They've scored 3 points. We're about 4 minutes in. Yao Ming? Yep.
Well, Brade's going to try to trick him. Brade's going to try to get him into foul trouble tonight. Yao Ming, who did not have success against Jeff Foster last Friday night, really has to come with a mental approach tonight.
Divac slips the bounce pass to a cutting Stojakovic.
Against a big man inside like Yao Ming.
Yao Ming back out to Francis. They repost. Yao Ming a little light with that one, but Francis hustles for the loose ball pickup, then has a wide open look at a 3.
Kelvin Cato, what a supreme effort on the offensive glass. I think Steve Francis is bench. Oh, Bibby. Bibby's having an all-star year.
He's averaging 17 points a game.
You know, Jim, the point I was trying to make was that Steve Francis was distracted by his teammates who came up off the bench while he was attempting that shot.
Jim Jackson hits for 3 again.
If the Rockets play with this kind of offensive efficiency, I don't know who's going to be able to beat them.
I agree, because when you couple that with their defense, they're awfully good. Divac's turned away at the cup. Bibby comes up shooting, and the teardrop rolls out. Miller with a follow.
When you have a frontline duo of Yao Ming and Kelvin Cato, you should own the defensive backboard.
Francis around the Yao Ming screen sets it up for Yao. Christie picks off the rebound.
I like the fact that Yao's taken 5 shots already.
Houston scored 12 of the first 13, and there's Stojakovic hurt from for the first time tonight. That's his first shot attempt, and it brings the Kings to within 6.
When you're playing on the road in a critically important game, and we've all pointed that out from the studio to you, Jim, to Jim Gray, you got to come out and have your best player shoot the ball the first possession.
Yao Ming finding Mobley. Rebound.
Nice.
Yao Ming almost captured it. Stojakovic controls. Now Peja aggressive to the hoop, went coast to coast. He scored the last 5.
And that's the hope and dream for Sacramento, to try to catch Yao Ming in no man's land where he's just unable to make a defensive stab at the play, forcing Van Gundy to take a timeout, concerned about the tempo.
7 straight points by the Sacramento Kings to close this lead down to 4, and 5:38 left in the quarter. Let's check in with Kevin Frazier.
Well, coming up, Jim, how about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Sure, LeBron's back, and so is DeJuan Wagner, but they didn't have Carlos Boozer, so they were 0-6 with Boozer. So even though they had won 2 straight, could they win without Boozer? We'll show you in a second.
Tomorrow night at 7.
Welcome back to Houston. We got some of the Carolina Panthers joining us here at this game tonight. Of course, they'll play on Sunday. There's Chris Jenkins you're looking at, Kendall Moorhead, Tutan Reyes, Deshaun Foster, Julius Peppers right here with me. Of course, Julius, congratulations. North Carolina won tonight. I know that makes you happy. How has this week gone for you guys? Are you able to come in here and relax?
Yeah, this is like a getaway. You know, so much media attention, everybody pulling and grabbing at you.
Yeah, I was out.
You know, we just came to try to enjoy the basketball game.
Now, Julius, you guys have been very successful against Quincy Carter, Mark Bulger, Donovan McNabb. How much different is Tom Brady?
He's going to stay in the pocket. We got to try to find some way to try to get to him, knock some of his passes down.
Nobody gave you guys much of a chance to be in this game, and very few are giving you a chance now that you're in this game. Is that good or bad for you all?
It's been like that all year. You know, that motivates us, and nobody gives us a chance. So, you know, we just got to do it one more time.
Julius, what's it like for you guys to have the eyes of the nation watching you now, the Carolina Panthers?
That's the way it's supposed to be, and hopefully we can continue to keep bringing that kind of attention to our organization.
Any prediction?
We gonna win. I don't know. I can't tell you the score. Hopefully it's a blowout for us, but, you know, we're going to pull it out.
Julius, thank you for your time. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Back to you, Jim Durham.
All right, they didn't come down here to lose.
How about that Jim Gray, though, dressed in his pinstripe suit tonight? Jim Gray working on the broadcast here tonight. And
Football
then
game Sunday.
He's broadcasting the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Yep.
That guy, what a life.
9 straight points for the Kings as they're back in it now after the 2 free throws by Stojakovic. And of those 9 straight, Peja has been very active.
Jim Jackson.
Maurice Taylor is in the game for Yao Ming for Houston.
Can the Rockets stay competitive and fierce without Yao Ming? Turnovers plaguing them now.
Quick hands by the Kings forcing that one. Bibby gets it to go and draws the foul.
Remember that timeout when they were down 12-1? Well, since that timeout, Peja, Bibby, and Miller have all come out scoring. They've got now 16 points between them.
Excuse me, Bill. That foul is the second foul on Jim Jackson. And when we talked with Jeff Van Gundy before the game, talking about how they were going to guard Stojakovic, it was like he had a question mark after Jackson. Well, now Jackson's on the bench, and Nakbar has come in.
Which really puts the problem of Eddie Griffin and what he has posed for this franchise into the brightest lights possible. Eddie Griffin letting the entire organization down.
Taylor hands the ball to Mobley. And with the offensive upsurge of the Kings, Mobley sticks the 3. Sacramento is also playing better at the defensive end. Although Mobley knocked that one down.
Van Gundy's doing a brilliant job of managing the minutes for Yao Ming. Taking him out early, realize the team's playing well. Yao Ming's not a player who's going to play 40 to 45 minutes a night. He's not a Karl Malone. He's not a Shaquille O'Neal type of player or a Hakeem Olajuwon. Remember, he's just 23 years old. Started off very strong. They want to play him about 32, 35 minutes a game.
There's Divac. Cleared by Taylor. Houston, the 2-point lead. Outside shot for Taylor. He's been stroking it real well lately during this winning streak. Well, actually, 7 out of 10.
Maurice Taylor is the second leading scorer off the bench in the entire NBA.
The other guy's sitting on that Sacramento bench.
What a block by Jackson by Maurice Taylor. If he can make contributions other than scoring, what a bonus for Van Gundy.
Here's Taylor. Over Miller and cleared by Bibby.
And now it's the Houston Rockets who are capitulating on the offensive glass, just softly retreating.
Bibby off the drive. Shovels it off to Divac. Popped away by Francis, but a reach-in foul on Francis. Francis has his first.
Bibby's ability to get to the basket is critical for Sacramento's offensive attack. Mike Bibby having his best season as a Sacramento King. I picked him on my All-Star team this year.
As well you should. Sideline out of bounds for the Kings. They're making some changes. Darius Songaila has come in now, number 25. And there's Songaila shooting on his first catch.
That's tough to do. You come right off the bench, set a screen, you get pork chopped right into the sternum, and then you step back trying to suck some air and they give you the ball wide open. You got to pull the trigger.
He brings the Kings to within 2. A little over 3 minutes left in the first. Taylor operating on Songaila, and a jump hook nicely done by Mo Taylor.
I think they've got to come down on Maurice Taylor. He's just playing too well. You can't let Songaila come out there and just say, well, I'm going to slow down this dynamic force, Taylor.
Stojakovic, Miller with a touch, and now Bobby Jackson launching and hitting the 3. It was so true, it barely disturbed the net as it passed through.
Backup guard play is critical for Rick Adelman.
He's got one of the best right there in Bobby Jackson.
They've been turning the ball over so much without Chris Webber. They don't have that comfort zone. Their margin of error so very, very slim. Jackson and Anthony Peeler have to play extremely well on a consistent basis.
That's the first foul whistled against Sacramento. Bibby picking it up. Houston by 1 with 2:34 left in the first. With Jim Gray and Bill Walton, I'm Jim Durham. We welcome you to Houston, Texas. There's Anthony Peeler on the Sacramento bench. Rockets have it in play. Bostian Nakbar plays into Taylor. Taylor operating on Miller.
Great defense, Brad Miller.
Now Francis has to shoot it up against the red light, and it's an air ball, a shot clock violation.
Well, tremendous defense. And this is not a squad, Sacramento, that's got the individual stoppers that you associate with great NBA teams, but they play a smart defense. Adelman's really got them thinking that team effort on the defensive end paying off, particularly when they don't call traveling against Steve Francis, who changed his pivot feet about 3 times.
Wait, you can only change it twice.
No, he went back.
Oh.
One side, the other, and then back.
Oh, I see. Well, you saw there that Sacramento was very cold early against this tough Houston defense, and now has picked it up. But here's a foul call on Houston. It's on Mo Taylor. That's his first. And the Rockets have picked up their 15th foul.
The thought process for a big man stepping out on the floor has to be when that guy comes off the screen, turn him back the other direction as Yao Ming towers above the court trying to get back into the game.
Mike Bibby short with the first one. Say fans win great prizes every night with NBA Pick and Win. It's easy. Make your picks on NBA.com. Watch NBA games and get ready for your chance to win.
After a very slow start, Sacramento is right back in this, now playing the pace that they want. We're talking a well over 100-point game here, and Houston does not like to play that way. 23 points in the last 6 minutes for the Sacramento Kings.
Yao Ming back on for the Rockets as he came in for Cato. A straight-on look at a 3 for Nakbar. Yao the rebound, and now Mobley fires and hits for 3. Cuttino Mobley's got it stuck on automatic from 3-point range.
This is automatic.
No. Missed by Stojakovic. Sangaila lost it out of bounds, and so Houston has it.
When Peja misses, I'm amazed. I want to see a horse game between Peja and Dirk.
Well, you're going to see Peja go for his 3rd straight 3-point shooting contest All-Star Weekend.
Now is Dirk in that competition?
I don't believe he is. Francis knocked out of bounds by Houston.
And Steve Francis is saying, what does it take to earn a trip to the line? Just because I was able, with my remarkable athleticism, to regroup doesn't mean I didn't get hammered.
Francis without a field goal in the ball game, 0 for 4. He wasn't hammered because they didn't save.
Nice dribble handoff, Sangaila.
And Bibby missing. Taylor the rebound.
Guards for the backcourt in the Houston Rockets playing huge minutes here.
Mo Taylor, a minute for the quarter. Shoots over Sangaila, and the by Bibby.
That Miller Campbell just tipping the ball over every time.
The foul.
This is a tough matchup for Cuttino Mobley.
Bobby Jackson will try to take him off the dribble, and he's very effective at that.
So quick, so explosive.
Uses the Miller pick, comes back to Miller. Miller with a lob inside. And Sangaila guides it home.
What beautiful basketball. Everyone involved. Sacramento's got a foul to give.
No shot clock, 6 seconds, and Jackson comes out and takes the foul on Steve Francis, who almost banked in a desperation shot.
Maybe a bit early to give that foul. You could have slid along a couple more seconds, put more pressure on Houston. Steve Francis has not had the breakout explosive game that I anticipated he would have tonight.
And actually, his numbers are down, even though the Rockets as a team are having a little more success. Mobley. Bob
Bobby Jackson, what a defensive stand. He did everything. He set up the play on the other end, first of all, and then he stopped the entire Rocket team by himself.
Mike Bibby outscored Steve Francis 12-love in that opening quarter. Bibby 4 of 6 from the field. And the Kings, who were down
on the losing end, but, you know, just staying positive with it.
Is it still smarting, or has it begun to wear off, and are you looking toward next season already?
Well, you know, just right now it's just, you know, focusing on what I need to do in order to take that extra step. You know, we've made it to that point 3 years in a row. And, you know, now just trying to reevaluate the situation and see what I can do next year to hopefully change it.
Donovan, we just talked to some of the Panthers across the way. Who are you picking between the Patriots and the Panthers?
Well, I'm still going with the Philadelphia Eagles. My same pick from the very beginning. But again, I think it's going to be a very exciting game. And I just want to continue to just focus on what I need to do in order to get us to this point next year.
Donovan, we appreciate your time. Good luck next year.
Thank you so much.
Back to you, Jim.
All right, Jim, thanks a lot.
Clyde Drexler's uniform.
University of Houston uniform, not Rockets uniform.
Hey, whatever happened to Clyde? I haven't seen him around.
He's around. Francis goes around the Yao Ming pick. Nakbar. Nice. Down the lane nicely.
Everybody's so concerned staying with Yao Ming that those type of seams are going to be wide open.
We had a look at Mark Jackson at the scorer's table. He's going to be coming into the game at the next opportunity for the Rockets. Stojakovic steps back and offers the three. Mobley ahead to Francis.
Brad Miller does so much to help his team win. It never gets chalked up into the stat sheet.
Now he's defending against Yao Ming. Huge height advantage for Yao Ming, and of course that's the case no matter who's guarding him. 4 on the shot clock. Francis fires. Anthony Peeler the rebound for Sacramento. Houston up by 4.
Very disappointing start for Steve Francis. Much better player than that, destined to start yet again in this year's All-Star game. Bibby and Jackson have come out to make a point tonight for Sacramento.
Miller shoots over Taylor. Peeler with the rebound. Songaila right down the pipe.
Rockets not getting it done on the defensive backboard, have fallen apart on the offensive end, gone away from the things that got them that big early lead, like attacking the basket.
Darius Songaila is a perfect 3 for 3 since coming in. That's Nakbar on the miss. Bobby Jackson ahead to Stojakovic on the run out.
Van Gundy needs a timeout desperately.
Kejaw's got 9.
The fact that they're tied is remarkable to Houston Rockets. 9 fast break points on the night for the Sacramento Kings. They are just running the Rockets out of their own building.
Yao Ming with 10 to shoot, and Miller with a reach-in foul, and that will get Mark Jackson into the game for the Rockets.
Come with a very small lineup now, the 3 guards.
Nakbar goes out.
Second all-time, Mark Jackson. Now has become the 3rd guard in Van Gundy's rotation. A very good pickup because he can keep them together in the set offensive game that Van Gundy prefers.
And of course, people always felt that Steve Francis is really a truth. So now he can stay out there and play with Jackson. Dan Crawford making the call. So a timeout taken with a tie game, Sacramento and Houston.
Oh, and a big night for the Celtics playing their first game without Jim O'Brien. Chauncey Billups the bucket there, but the story, Mike James bringing the Celtics back, Tim.
Did it on his own back, raising up, hitting threes down the stretch, but he needed one more off the dribble, a little tougher than on the catch.
I tell you what, quietly, Mike James, although they lose this game, has had a really solid season for the Boston Celtics.
The little Tim Hardaway can't hit it, so John Carroll loses his first game. Meanwhile, Pacers just annihilate the Suns 101-79. Tough times down the desert. Let's go back to Jim.
All right, Kevin, recording artist Nelly watching the game, Bill Walton. When they said it was Nelly, I thought Don Nelson had come over from Dallas.
Well, the way the Mavericks are playing right now with 9 straight victories. What a shot by Antoine Walker last night.
That's good for him, you know. I mean, obviously it's great for the Mavericks to win the game, but he needed one like that.
But the fact that Jim O'Brien is able to take any coaching job he wants. He could go down to New Jersey, although Larry Frank A very bright coaching future in front of that. A very similar coach to Jeff Van Gundy, the workaholic, the gym rat type.
Vlade Divac surrounded. Now gets the shot up on Yao Ming. Cleared by Taylor.
You have no vision of the basket whatsoever when Yao Ming's out there. Vlade is 0 for 6 tonight. Yikes, make a shot.
12 to shoot for Houston. I think Vlade's going to be in for a long night.
What a pass.
And Yao Ming has 6 points scored, giving the Rockets a 4-point lead.
When the Rockets went on the road last week, they gave Mark Jackson a term contract. They let him choose which one he wanted to sign.
Another 10-day or whether signed for the rest of the season. Mark Jackson signed for the rest of the year. As you see Jackson with that wraparound pass to Yao Ming.
Wearing number 31, Mark Jackson, the reverse of his longtime number 13.
Jim Gray?
Talking about Yao Ming, I spoke to Vlade Divac before the game about Yao, and he said he thinks that in 2 years he's going to be more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal. He says Shaq has the inside game, Yao has the outside. He'll learn the inside game. He says he just needs to become a little bit more aggressive. Big guys, by our tendency, probably aren't more aggressive. We're too nice of guys, but he thinks that Yao is going to be better than Shaq. I'm sure that won't set too well with the man back in Los Angeles.
Well, the thing about it, though, Bill, and you talked about this, he's better than he is now at the defensive end than Shaq.
Depends on which Shaq is going to play.
Well, does Shaq come out and cover screen roll?
No, and he never will.
Screen roll?
And he never will.
But Yao Ming will come out, and he'll come out, and he'll show on the floor, and he'll recover. Grabs the rebound. Now, granted, because he plays so hard at both ends, there are times when Jeff Van Gundy has to have him sitting over there on the bench because he just doesn't quite have the stamina yet to be able to do that. Taylor.
But Shaq and Yao Ming are completely different players.
Right.
And you would compare Yao Ming much more to an Akeem Olajuwon than to Shaquille O'Neal. And Akeem Olajuwon is the player that Yao Ming grew up emulating.
Jackson draws the foul and will get to the line. That foul is on Anthony Peeler. 2 fouls on him.
Now his mother played for the Chinese national team, as Yao Ming does himself, and there are his parents. Yao Ming lives with his parents outside of town, about 20 minutes away from here. Based on the traffic, there's no traffic here in Houston, is there, Jim?
and there really is traffic this week. How about all those stretch limousines? How about the stretch Hummers? That's an interesting look, is it not? Here we are in the Toyota Center, and as I walked out, they have the Lexus room.
Oh,
Did you notice that?
The Lexus Lounge?
Yeah.
I live for the Lexus Lounge, Jim. You got to come in there at halftime with me. There is no,
okay, you'll let me come in. That's good.
There is no place on earth like the Lexus Lounge.
Mark Jackson divides the free throws. The first 2 shot by the Rockets in the game. Houston with a 5-point lead. That shot by Bobby Jackson.
Bobby Jackson is showing a remarkable level of competitive greatness tonight. He has just come out and thrown everything up there.
Jim Jackson back in the game, playing the 2 fouls. On the interior pass, a reach-in foul.
Where would the Sacramento Kings be without Bobby Jackson, who is just torching everybody? Again, the quick shooting capabilities of Bobby Jackson, of Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, so reminiscent of the great Norm Nixon, who used to come right at the big guys and just torch them before they could ever move.
Halfway through the second quarter at the Toyota Center. We got a good one in the making. The Rockets by 3.
What does he need to do to get to that level? Number 1, quit going for pump fakes on the defensive end. Stand tall over guys and pop shots back. Rebounding. This guy should be leading the league, Yao Ming. Positioning, emulate Jabbar and Kevin McHale. Get down in the paint and get to work. Initiate the offense. Be the type of player that starts everything from the defensive end and get it going into leadership. Become the man. Assume the mantle as the league's most dominant player.
Now an offensive foul has been called on Yao Ming.
I like that.
It's his first foul.
The fact that he got it. Leaning in, Now, if they call that consistently on all the post players in the NBA,
there wouldn't be much post play.
Thank you, Jim.
Jabari Smith, a little light from the perimeter.
Probably not Rick Adelman's play drawn up at the timeout.
Taylor guarded by Smith.
This guy is emerging. We are seeing a battle of the sixth men there. 10 points, 5 boards now for Maurice Taylor. We've got Bobby Jackson delivering in the backcourt for Sacramento. And Maurice Taylor, who's going to stop him? He's calling out the Kings front line.
And Chris Webber returning sometime. Bobby Jackson hits. 9 points for Jackson. That keeps the Kings within 3. They've got, Bill, this Sacramento road trip as they are opening their back 9 tonight. It's the last 3 games in a 6-game swing. They've got San Antonio tomorrow night, then they finish up at Seattle. Jim Jackson has been hot the entire game. Unfortunately for him, he had to spend time on the bench with 2 fouls.
What a road trip for Sacramento. Cleveland, Dallas.
They won there, then they lost at Memphis.
3 days off before tonight's game.
So they ought to be well rested.
That was the easiest shot Bobby Jackson's had all night.
You know what? We've got the announcers nightmare. We've got Bobby Jackson, Mark Jackson, and Jim Jackson all in the game.
I'll let you take care of it while the lady delivers the drinks here to the front row.
Taylor operating on Smith. Double team help. Francis, nice feed to Yao Ming. The basket's good and a foul.
That is beautiful basketball. Sacramento never noted for their interior defensive presence. 7 assists, though, for Steve Francis. The sense of anticipation, the sense of where you are, described so brilliantly by Bill Bradley in the late 60s of figuring out how this game is played at the mental level. And now you bring Yao Ming, Steve Francis, Cuttino Mobley, Jim Jackson, Mark Jackson, Maurice Taylor together. You got a real force for the future here.
It's starting to come together.
And what a building to celebrate.
First year in the new Toyota Center, Bobby Jackson. Nice play by Francis, hanging in the air, drawing the body contact. Didn't get the foul called, but he gets the field goal.
Rick Adelman has seen enough. The porous defense from Sacramento, giving up penetration, no resistance physically inside. The celebration has begun here in Houston.
The home for Super Bowl 38. Oh, excuse me. That's an office building downtown. Super Bowl coming up on Sunday.
Over the last 6 minutes, Bobby Jackson, the only guy playing for Rick Adelman. He's got 6 points. The rest of the Kings are scoreless. The game was a 33-33 tie. Right now, it's Houston by 9, and that lead is growing.
And the Rockets have got 3:20 left in the half to really establish command in this game. Oh, your tough pass for Francis. Had to throw over 2 defenders to get it there.
It was just too low. Steve Francis remarkably even had any kind of play on it. What a pass.
From Miller to Jackson.
It is so great to see big men able to step to the foul line area and lay those dimes down. We've seen Yao Ming do it, Brad Miller. We know Vlade can do it. It's not just that smash mouth basketball
that Jim O'Brien was talking about.
Was dreaming about.
And that's in the East. Tipped away by Vlade Divac, Bibby, Jackson in a 2-on-1, and Bibby with the layup.
Giving it up at just the proper time initially, Mike Bibby, so he's being in perfect position to get it right back.
Now we get a 22nd timeout taken by Jeff Van Gundy and the Rockets. 2:31 left. This will be a full. Houston by 5. We're in the first half. Maurice Taylor delivers again. Taylor's got 12.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those were Kenny's kids that he was showing us.
I'd be right. Ten on the shot clock for Sacramento. Bibby. 16 for Bibby.
The guards have been playing out. We started this game highlighting the need for the front court for Sacramento to come alive, but it's been Bibby and Jackson and them pretty much by themselves.
Taylor. Jim Jackson. Nice. Over Stojakovic. Has Jim Jackson missed a shot in this game? 5-4-5.
The emotional get back, the retribution for his dreams being shattered. Now that's a tough shot.
By Stojakovic, Yao Ming collects the rebound.
I love it, the big guys who can tip the ball to themselves. Lade trying to slow down the fast break by pressuring the outlet.
But Francis off the dribble finds Taylor, and a foul will put Mo Taylor on the line. Jim Jackson with 12 points tonight, and remember he picked up 2 fouls very quickly and had to go to the bench.
But this is just classic execution. His establishment of the position that he wanted by bumping off the defender, much the way Larry Bird did. Just get the ball where you want it, look at him, fake one way, come back the other, plant, and get in the air. Textbook.
Taylor hasn't missed many either. There's Jackson. 2 for 2 on threes. Taylor splits the free throws, and Stojakovic tracks it down. This is Bibby.
Field goal percentage, critical stat for the Houston Rockets.
Bobby Jackson and Yao Ming the rebound.
The Rockets are 17-1 when shooting 45% or better. Right now,
tough move by Francis. Sacramento the steal. Nothing there for Bibby, but a loose ball foul on Mobley. He knocked down Bobby Jackson.
And the fans irate because Steve Francis just gets hammered as he's trying to bring the ball up the court. It's hard to see how that's not a trip. You go down because the guy's leg is out. Easiest shot of the night for Mike Bibby.
Sideline out of bounds for the Kings. 14 fouls on Houston.
2 for 1 time, Sacramento.
With 46 seconds left. Divac a recovery. Lade has his first field goal tonight.
Why would you ever save the ball? You're up, you're in commanding position. Why save it underneath your own basket? Shot clock's in your favor.
Francis.
Block shot.
Yep. Taylor, nothing there with a scoop. Stojakovic ahead to Jackson. Bobby Jackson with the finger roll.
Houston's fallen apart in the last 90 seconds. Van Gundy won't have any trouble getting his message across.
And this is the same thing that happened in the first quarter, Bill, when they had the 11-point lead early and Sacramento came back to tie. They didn't close out the first quarter well. They're not closing out the second quarter very well. Francis over Bibby. Miller the rebound. And we've played 1/2 in Houston.
Sacramento's capitalizing on their fast break transition game 15-2. It's a plus 13 edge in the fast break for the Sacramento Kings. That's kept them in the game here.
Let's check in with Jim Gray. He's got Jim's Art III. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, I spoke to Vlade Divac as he came back out on the court. He said, we have to finish up tonight. We have been incomplete in finishing games while we've been on this road trip. That's what they concentrated on at halftime. Rick Adelman also told him, hey, the Rockets shot 52%. They won't do that again, and we have to make sure defensively we won't do that. As for Jeff Van Gundy, he said, we need to have more balance on the floor. We need to get back. Our transition is bad. We've had far too many lapses. Jim?
Well, actually, Sacramento, I thought, played a little better in the late stages of the first and second quarters than they did on Sunday in Dallas. But as Yao Ming opens the scoring in the second half, and Dallas on Sunday, they were outscored in the final 2 minutes of every quarter.
It was interesting, Jim Gray's report. I mean, everything positive from Rick Adelman, and they're behind. Everything negative from Van Gundy, and they're ahead. What's going on here?
Because, like I said, they only remember what happened at the end. Miller against Yao Ming almost passed it to himself.
Which is a traveling violation in and of itself. But with Brad Miller only shooting 1 for 3, now 1 for 4. Vlade 1 for 7. It has been the intimidating presence of Yao Ming that has completely dictated the tempo and structure of this game.
Rockets still up by 4. Tough shot for Francis over Miller. And the ball thrown out and deflected out. It goes to Houston.
Remember, are you old enough to remember back when Kelvin Cato was playing well at the start of the season?
I think I might be.
This is a guy that should be just crushing folks out there. So big, so strong, and all he does is turn the ball over.
Bibby trying to take advantage of that turnover, and it's Miller.
Great recovery by Yao Ming.
Jim Jackson collects the rebound.
Tough fall by Yao Ming. This guy's rugged.
You know, he really is. When we talk about his stamina, that doesn't have anything to say about how he plays when he's out there.
But he runs the floor so hard. I mean, he's trying to get up and down and make every play.
Jackson sticks another three. Jim Jackson 6 for 6 tonight, and Houston with a 7-point lead.
How many of those are three, Jim?
As Bibby misses in the lane, Divac, it would be 3 threes made by Jackson. And Stoyakis. Peja hadn't scored from the field since the first quarter.
Oh, goodness gracious sakes alive. How many times do you have to tell the guy not to throw the outlet down the middle of the floor? Short outlets to the wing, please.
Francis.
Nice flash.
Yao Ming put it on the floor. Bibby dives down to dig it away. And now Christie. To Stojakovic, taken off the glass by Francis. That's goaltending.
And that is remarkable athleticism by Steve Francis, who's 6'3", 6'2", maybe. He was up square high on the glass to knock that away. Why don't they come back to Yao Ming in the low post early in the shot clock so we can do more than just be forced to shoot it?
They're going to try to post Cuttino Mobley against Christie.
But that's a bad matchup for Houston.
But it worked beautifully. It worked just like Jeff Van Gundy drew it up.
But if your game is going to be based on relying on making fadeaway jumpers against a bigger and more gifted opponent,
Stojakovic loses the handle. Here's Francis trying to beat 2 defenders, and a reach-in foul called on Bibby.
A couple plays ago, Yao Ming ended up on the floor, which is a very scary thought to everyone here. Lands awkwardly, pushed by his own teammate in the back.
That was your friend, Kelvin Cato.
Doing everything he can for Sacramento tonight.
Houston a 4-point lead in the ball.
He might be the Kings' best player.
3 minutes in. Yao Ming doubled up around the horn. They work it to Mobley. Sacramento with a chance to cut it to 2 or 1 with a long one. What a crossover. Yeah, but Bibby turned it over to Mobley as Cuttino wasn't buying it. Francis in on Stojakovic. Is fouled, shoots 2. Luis Grillo making the call. The foul call is on Bibby. That's 3 fouls on Bibby. And 2 team fouls on the Kings in the third with 8:43 left.
Steve Francis, who has become a regular starter for the Western Conference All-Stars, just down the lane, and his willingness to put his body in harm's way to earn trips to the line. Houston is got a narrow margin of lead here with just 4 points, but all the elements that go into winning a game, they're all in the favor of the Houston Rockets.
Steve Francis with that 2 for 10 shooting tonight, and he was shooting less than 40% coming into the game on the season.
Last year shot 44%. This year shooting 40%. Points down per game. A lot of that has to do with the improvement of Yao Ming, the addition of Jim Jackson, the development of Maurice Taylor into a real force. But is Steve Francis a real legitimate point guard player?
One of the big men passing, but the Rockets were able to get the stop anyway right at the cup. Mobley. Inside shot won't go for Miller, but a foul called, and Brad Miller shoots 2.
Brad Miller is extremely frustrated right now. They are just pounding and beating on this guy. Steve Francis comes from the backside. Hard to see how that's not a foul. Just a wild swipe right there. With Cuttino Mobley able to kiss the ball off the glass in a little mid-range area, and Yao Ming ready to gobble up anything that comes off. How are you going to stop these guys if they try to fast break the Rockets?
Brad Miller, first free throw attempted in the game. Jim Jackson another rebound. 6-point Houston lead.
But after a free throw, you can come right back and dump it straight into Yao Ming. Let him go.
There you go. He's got it now, operating against Divac. And a foul on Christie from behind. First foul on Christie. 3 team fouls, and it is a shooting foul for Yao Ming. Here he is in the post.
The best players I ever played against in terms of working for that deep low post position were Abdul-Jabbar and Kevin McHale. And what Yao Ming would do better at in trying to establish that deep position is facing his man on offense. If he would not turn his back until the very last moment. And then, of course, you have to get better post feeding. With Jim Jackson standing out there looking at him and pump faking, it looks so much like the old Lakers before Magic showed up.
Yeah, what you say is true, but he loses sight of the ball.
No, he does that. That's why you have a neck that swivels.
Bibby knocks out a 3. Mike Bibby is keeping Sacramento in this one.
Well, he realizes the importance of this game. They've already lost 2 out of the 3 on the trip. At San Antonio tomorrow, which has got to be a nightmare. Going up against Tim Duncan, who's better than ever as the 2-time MVP.
Bibby a steal from Mobley. Ahead to Stojakovic. And Francis the rebound and starts the outlet with Jackson.
Yao Ming is wide open and deep in the paint.
And a foul on Divac over the back.
Peja not finishing strong enough at the hoop. I mean, Peja is 6'10". This should just be up, initiate a little contact, throw one down, get to the free throw line. But the athleticism of Steve Francis getting back time and time again. These guards, these perimeter guys, Jackson, Mobley, Francis, watch out.
That, by the way, is 14 fouls on the Kings, and we have 7:11 left in the third.
To watch Yao Ming directing traffic out here.
Free throw on the miss. Stojakovic the rebound.
I don't understand how you can't get the ball. That's the biggest target in the history of basketball.
Divac fouled by Cato.
But wasn't it fun to hear Jeff Van Gundy talk about Yao Ming, coaching him and comparing him to the other great players, and how really the other guys who are anywhere near Yao Ming's size have all been specialists and experiments. Well, this guy's a real force. Finally a rebound, Kelvin Cato. Thank you.
Houston with a 5-point lead. Francis goes to the hot man Jackson. Another punch into Yao Ming. Hoop wouldn't have it.
Look at the determination and effort on his face. Sucking a little wind right now.
Miller throws a blind bounce pass to Divac, who saves to Bibby. Boy, Bibby is shooting good tonight.
And Jeff Van Gundy has seen enough. Vlade's got 5 assists as the best passing big man in a long time. Combination of Vlade and Miller have come alive. Fortunately, they got a guy who can stick down this perimeter jumper.
And Mike Bibby scoring here has brought Sacramento to within 3.
Because once you get here, you have gone through a whole lot, and it's tough to stay together for a whole 16-game schedule and be as effective as the Patriots have been. So, you know, I commend them for doing what they've been able to do, stay focused, and do the jobs that they've been able to do so far.
In your opinion, what's the hardest thing to win in sports? The U.S. Open, tennis, or golf? Tour de France, Super Bowl, what?
You can't compare none of those to Super Bowls, because those are all individual events. When you're talking about a Super Bowl, you're talking about 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, and 11 guys on special team coming together as one team. And that's a tough thing to do when you got 11 people in each segment trying to focus on the job at hand.
Emmett, everybody wants to know, are you coming back next year with the Arizona Cardinals? Will you be in the NFL?
Right now, the plan is to come back and finish up what I set out to do, and that's to help the Cardinals win. And I think with Denny coming in, I mean, we're making some changes, and they might be the right changes for us. So I look forward to what we have to offer this year.
Emmett, thank you.
All right.
Jim Durham, some news right there. That's the first time he said that. He'll be back with the Cardinals next year.
Well, the thing that's great about Emmitt Smith is when he gets in the end zone, he acts like he's been there before. Mike Bibby is on the free throw line on that foul on Cato. The basket is good by Miller. So Bibby with 21 points tonight can tie it up.
And it's so good to see Bibby shooting the ball magnificently. It was Bibby's screen that freed up Bob Miller as he goes and bricks the free throw. But the last 4 games, Bibby's been shooting 33% after being on a real hot run the previous 3 games when he was hitting at 60%. So up and down road trip here for Mike Bibby in shooting.
Jackson lost the handle. That's Cato. It was knocked away from him, but a foul called, and Sacramento is over the foul limit. Divac has the foul, his second.
You get the sense that Sacramento's strategy is just to hang around and just keep scoring as Yao Ming gets a little bit of a rest right there. But Sacramento counting on the Houston Rockets falling apart at the end, not being a noted offensive squad.
Kelvin Cato's free throw toss a little short. Say fans looking for all the latest news on the NBA, watch NBA TV Insiders on NBA TV to find out tomorrow's NBA news today. Well, Cato misfires on both.
Imagine how much more effective Yao Ming would be if Kelvin Cato was still tearing it up as he did early in the season.
Sacramento looking for the lead. Divac with 10 to shoot against Cato. Out to Bibby. And on the rebound, a loose ball foul on Christie. Christie has his second. They'll walk it down to the free throw line at the other end. Cuttino Mobley shooting 2.
If we can get Jim Gray to quit interviewing these football players and get over to the Sacramento King huddle and find out what they're saying, because what Rick Adelman is saying has been very effective. Every time there's been a timeout, the Kings have come out and made all kinds.
Emmett Smith offering a stogie.
What was in that?
A cigar.
Adamantly opposed to smoking of all kinds.
There you go. That portable humidor.
Not quite sure what that is.
Keeps the cigar fresh, my friend.
Thermos. Greatest invention in the history of Western civilization.
There you go. Right down the barrel of Emmett Smith's portable humidor. 67-64.
He just offered you one.
I'll take him up on when this game is over.
What do you do with
I'll
those
stroll
things?
into the Lexus Lounge. Peja misfires, cleared by Divac. Straight away for Christie. And Jim Jackson corrals the rebound.
What a tremendous all-around game Jim Jackson has played. The defense shutting down Stojakovic, knocking down his perimeter jumper. He's got 15 points and 8 rebounds, Jim Jackson.
Taylor doubled up. Finds Francis.
Nice.
The pass almost went in.
It's a great idea.
Bibby's pass deflected, grabbed by Stojakovic.
That's a tough shot there. He had to reach to get a ball that had no chance of ever coming his way. Peja 5 for 13 from the floor. And this from the game's best shooter.
Mobley was hot early tonight. Then kind of got away from it. Didn't really shoot the ball, but now he's coming back here in the second half. He's got 19 points overall.
And Rick Adelman forced to take a timeout here, dismayed at the fact that they could not capitalize the fact that Yao Ming is on the bench.
His return, 13 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, big shot. Tony Kukoc with the force, but the precedent has been set on how to rehab. Go to South Beach and get your game on and come back and give it to him.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jamal Mashburn, 24 points, and more impressively, 13 in the fourth quarter. Huge game for Mashburn. Meanwhile, Mavericks and Jazz in a battle.
Houston leading Sacramento by 5, and these beautiful aerial views are courtesy of Goodyear's Florida-based blimp Stars and Stripes. The Goodyear blimps travel thousands of miles each year, covering hundreds of major sports events, entertainment, and community events as well. Western Conference mighty tough in the West, partner. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are on top of the Heat.
Kevin Garnett right in the MVP mix against Sam Cassell, really getting it done. Sacramento playing a lot of home games early. Dallas has won 9 in a row. San Antonio still trying to find the mix around Tim Duncan. The Lakers holding on until their stars return.
And you think the Kings are on a tough road trip. They have a lot of tough road games left the rest of the way. They haven't even played San Antonio one time yet. So they've got the Spurs tomorrow night, and then they've got them again on the road, and they've got them twice more at Arco.
And San Antonio always plays better in the latter stages of the season.
Miller bumps into Cato. Offensive foul on Brad Miller.
That's a tough call against Miller. I mean, Kelvin Cato is as big as strong as Emmitt Smith is. And Brad Miller's already coming to a stop, and Kelvin Cato is falling down before the contact even happens. That play would make Charles Oakley proud.
The Rockets still up by 5 as the Kings have threatened a number of times, and Jim Jackson hasn't missed a thing all night.
That's a heat check. This is a guy who is noted for his disciplined play and wise shot selection. He's just dribbling away from the basket, jumping backwards and throwing it up.
7 for 7.
Nice.
Miller to Divac. The big men are the best passers in the front line in the league.
Well, their combined assist numbers are just remarkable, averaging over 10 assists between the two of them per night.
They've got 9 assists so far in this game, just those two. Mobley.
At every aspect of the game. That's a tough shot there.
Stojakovic hasn't really been a factor tonight.
Well, James Posey put the clamps on him in their last game. Excuse me, on the Friday night game before the Dallas game.
Right. Taylor around Miller. That one crawled home from
how hard they run the floor. I mean, so much of NBA basketball is guys trotting, jogging up and down, waiting to play the set offense, structured game.
Jackson and Sangala in the jump ball situation. Houston doesn't like to play this way. He got 17 turnovers. As a result, I'm going to pick up that pace. He's given a lot of points in that regard. He's those turnovers, 17 in this third quarter alone. 19 points scored by Sacramento off those turnovers. 31.6.
Mark Jackson's got to try to steal this tip.
Luis Grillo at the scores table, making sure that the clocks are correct. Perhaps it's the shot clock that he's wondering about, because in the scramble for the loose ball, he's claiming maybe that possession didn't change.
And what do you set that? Do you set it back to 24, or do you set it to 14? Or do you wait until you see who gets control of the ball before you set it?
Shot clock's being reset to 16 seconds.
16 seconds, my friend. Sounds good. Big height advantage to Sacramento.
Yeah, but the way they call this here, just let Mark Jackson steal it on the way up and tip it to Yao Ming.
Sacramento controls.
I thought Mark Jackson could jump.
Bibby for 3. Mark Jackson ends up with a rebound.
That must be a myth.
Less than a second difference. And Houston will take it all the way down.
How about a high screen on Bobby Jackson, and then Yao Ming stepped back for a knockdown jumper.
Francis to the hoop instead and lost it out of bounds off his leg. The Kings have 3.5 seconds to have the final say here in the third.
Don't let Bobby Jackson or Bibby get a run at you. You can't give him that much space here.
Here goes Jackson. Jackson banked it in. And it's
they got to look at that.
going to be waved off.
They got to look at that.
You know, Dan Crawford was shaking his head yes. I don't know if what he meant was, yes, Ken Maurer, you have it right. Or, yes, the basket is good.
It looked to me like the ball had no chance whatsoever to go in, but I wasn't thinking bank. This is a good shot. That's block. That should count. Bobby Jackson. Now on the superimposed clock that we had, it looked to be good.
Yes, it did. Boy, what tough defense. Jackson had to relay.
In his hand, the red light on, wave it off.
That's right. That's why Danny Crawford had 3 at the Toyota Center. Nothing.
Hallis, Mobley, really a solid contribution. Yao Ming's got 12 points, 8 boards. Steve Francis, a remarkably poor 2 for 11.
Zongaila. Yao Ming, the Houston rebound.
Well on his way to yet another double-double, but with the dominance on the boards, plus 16 for Houston, major shooting effort, 53% by the Rockets, and their transition defense is much better, limiting the Sacramento to just 3 fast break points in that quarter.
Interior pass broken up by the Kings. It's out of bounds to Houston with 8 to shoot.
Houston's on their way, but with this disparity in the rebounds, I mean, relatively a wash on the offensive glass.
But it's the 18 Rockets turnovers leading to 19 points that have kept the Kings in the game.
The Kings shooting a woeful 44%.
Mark Jackson's pass deflected and grabbed by Stojakovic. That would be turnover number 19 for Houston. Bibby, Miller.
What a beautiful
He can hit that open shot, and oftentimes Rick Adelman says he passes on it.
He's not been shooting the ball that well over the last month. He started very strong this season, but the question is whether he's tired, whether he's fatigued, whether he's still getting the good looks that he was earlier on. But Brad Miller is one of 3 Kings that I picked on my Western All-Stars this year.
Yao Ming called for the offensive foul as Miller took the charge.
All coaches want, all fans want, all parents want is consistency. Lost his balance. The footwork confused him.
And you want him to go in there and play facing the basket. And he's really got to worry about his balance and his footwork.
Until you're ready to receive the ball.
But still, he's got to think about that then. That's something else he's got to think about.
He's a multitasker. Come on.
I know one thing. Bibby's a great shooter. Bibby's got 23 tonight to lead the Kings. They're within 1.
You're starting to sound like a coach.
How about
Jim?
that assist to turnover ratio, my friend?
You're starting to sound like one of these 5'9" coaches. He just doesn't want the big man to do.
I was 5'9".
He doesn't want the big man to do anything other than stand there and dunk. Come on, challenge these guys to be complete ball players, like a Brad Miller, like a Vlade Divac.
Call that foul. That is the 3rd foul.
One thing
Sacramento's Brad Miller.
One thing that Yao Ming really has to learn how to do is punish the other team at the foul line. Make the other team foul time and time again to change the whole nature of the game.
Shot for Taylor, but when you got Yao Ming underneath to clean up, although he brought it down, and the Kings have picked his pocket. Sacramento turns it over with a chance at the lead. Mark Jackson. Bibby guarding him. 9:35 for the 4th.
Rockets need better ball movement. We're trying to do it individually.
Yao Ming against Miller. Out to Mobley. Jim Jackson swings. Gets it on the swing pass from Mark Jackson, and then a foul call as Jim Jackson drove into the lane. Bibby called for the foul.
Jackson has played so benefit of the doubt on that close call. Perfect offensive night.
Bibby has picked up his 4th foul. And they've got 9:23 left.
And with Doug Christie not asserting himself on the offensive end tonight, the backup guards are really a critical factor. Anthony Peeler hasn't even got into the game. We haven't mentioned the fact that Tony Massenberg not with the Sacramento Kings. He's attending to personal matters of a family nature over in his current home of San Antonio,
where the Kings are headed next. Houston with a ball in play, 8 to shoot for Mobley. Jim Jackson with a nice touch pass, sets up Mark Jackson on the 3. Taylor the rebound, under the alley, and knocked loose, out of bounds. Last touch by Sacramento, but the ball hit the rim, so they got 21 seconds to shoot coming in.
So close to the basket, you would anticipate and expect Maurice Taylor to shoot it.
We had one like that, Bill, a few weeks ago when the Rockets were playing Minnesota, and a pass like that, Yao juggled the pass into the basket. 3 minutes into the 4th. Houston nursing a 1-point lead. Jim Jackson, Taylor.
Too slow. They're all coming to dead stop.
Mark Jackson floats it up, and the rebound to Sacramento. Jimmy, a quick maneuver underneath to Sangala, and he's got the layup. 8 points for him tonight.
And the Kings are on top. Van Gundy's seen enough. The transition defense not getting it done. Who wants to run?
Sacramento hasn't been up by much tonight. By much. They've only led by 1 a couple of times. Shaquille O'Neal coming back for the Lakers, and with more on that return, here's Kevin Frazier.
The daddy back for the first time since straining his calf against the same Seattle Supersonics. How was his night? Ooh, a little rusty at first. We'll show you back. Shaquille O'Neal back for the first time since injuring himself against those same Sonics January 2nd, Tim.
And I think the one thing he left on the IR was his explosiveness, because he couldn't get off the floor right there.
Shaq off to a rough start, just 1 of 3 from the floor. You know who's back, as in back 100%? Kobe Bryant gets the bucket there. Lakers battle their way back and take this lead. They were down 14 to 3 at the beginning of this game. Meanwhile, a thriller between the Jazz and Mavericks. Remember, the Mavericks have won 9 straight.
I'll take Dallas. I like Dallas now.
You like Dallas in this one?
Yep.
We'll see. Let's go back to Jim.
All right, Kevin, back here in Houston, the Sacramento Kings have claimed a 1-point lead. They've been up by 1 a couple of times tonight. They've trailed by as many as 11. The Kings, as you see, even after this road trip, they still will have played more games at home this year than on the road. They've got San Antonio and Seattle left on this trip. There's a look at it. It started in Cleveland, where they won. They've lost at Memphis and Dallas. Playing tonight, tomorrow night over at San Antonio at the SBC Center, and then Saturday at Seattle.
And that's not an easy game, even though the Sonics lost Brent Berry. How sad that he hurt his finger. Kings on a 9-0 run right now, and the Rockets have yet to score this quarter. They're over 4 and have 3 turnovers. They're supposed to play better as the game goes on.
6 to shoot for Houston. Give it to the hottest guy in the house. And Jackson gets the rim and the glass, and the shot goes. Jim Jackson, 9 for 9. 22 points.
Sacramento just can't hold on to the lead. That was their first lead since 18 to 17 way back in the first.
Bobby Jackson splits the double team. Tough shot. He makes them, though.
That ball was blocked and still went in.
A delay of game warning is the call. That's a technical.
The ball is blocked by Kelvin Cato. And then with the...
Kelvin Cato can't get a break in this.
I said
he makes a good defensive play and it goes in.
He's been Sacramento's best player. It's a technical foul because
second one.
Second delay of the game.
Yep. And Jim Jackson, who hasn't missed from the free throw line now nor the field.
Who's got the record for the best perfect game in basketball?
I'm sure Marty Aronoff can look that up for us. 79 all with 7:47 left.
Wilt has to be in there somewhere.
Jim Jackson scores again.
Is the All-Star voting still open?
I don't know, but Jim Jackson is 1 basket away from a new season high. Stojakovic. Miller keeps it alive.
Sangala does a lot of good things out there for Rick Adelman.
He does. And he's been getting some minutes here, especially on this road trip. Miller off the dive and a reach-in foul called on the way to the hoop.
That's the second.
everything is ground to a halt for the Rockets with the exception of the brilliance of Jim Jackson, who is so hot. He almost got 4 points for that play. Down, out, back in, and then curls right off and throws in off the glass without even looking.
25 points, 26 is his season high, 50 is his career high, which he recorded with the Dallas Mavericks in Denver on a cold evening. Miller missing the front end. Miller 79% from the free throw line on the season, and he gets that one to go. Rick Adelman's club down by 1. Looks like we're going to the wire at the Toyota Center tonight. Francis with a lob for Cheeto.
And a technical foul.
Hanging on the rim.
They might have called it for slapping the board.
Oh, no, you're calling for pulling it down, and Steve Francis can't believe it. They've tried a number of plays like this.
So Stojakovic can take one away from those two. And does.
I think it has to be for slapping the board, because hanging on the rim, this was not much of a hang here. Never let the show get in the way of the game. I mean, you're in a 2-point game.
You are now. It was a 3-point game.
Well, my math has never been very good.
No, if the dunk counts without the technical, they're up 3. And as Bibby tried to make the move, there's a foul on Cato. Cato has his 4th foul. 2 team fouls on Houston in the 4th. 6:49 left. Songaila gives it up. Stojakovic trying to make a move on Jim Jackson. 4 to shoot. Peja out to Bibby with 1 on the shot clock. The 3 goes down.
He had no idea.
He knew it was him.
You talk about a bailout shot.
How about the fact that Peja has no field goals in the last 15 minutes of action?
Well, the way Bibby's shooting it, maybe they don't need him tonight. Sacramento back in front by 1.
I want to see a horse game tonight between Bibby and Jim Jackson.
Steve Francis got turned away at the hoop. Sacramento trying to add to the lead.
I think the pace has finally caught up to the Houston Rockets. They're playing individual ball, standing around, running out of gas. Are they in as good a condition as the Kings, who we know are at a championship level of conditioning?
Bibby takes up slack and fires. He's got it stuck on automatic. Mike Bibby pouring him in, and the Kings have their biggest lead of the night at 3 as Houston is taking a timeout. 28 points for Mike Bibby tonight. That equals his season high.
And the fans here at the Toyota Center voicing their displeasure with the lack of concentration, the lack of focus by the Rockets, but it's been all Mike Bibby with an all-star performance tonight. Up against the shot clock, can't even see net, face.
The Sacramento Kings trying to get their 2nd win on the road trip, leaded by 3.
Mike Bibby, 11 for 18, who's combined with Bobby Jackson. They've got 46 points between those two great stars. And then Yao Ming, 12 points and 10 rebounds, but a lot of those numbers were early.
Let's check in with Jim Gray.
Well, Jim, during that timeout, Jim Jackson was coaching for Jeff Van Gundy, telling the tendencies of his former teammates, particularly Michael Bibby. He told the guards, you must make him go to the center of the floor, even attempt to drive. Do not let him stand out there on those wings all alone. He'll kill you. Force him to the center of the court. Jim?
Miss. Yao Ming back in the game for Houston.
Well, Jim Jackson, having played all of last season, knowing the tendencies of...
That's why Jim Jackson has been so valuable to these. Like the NBA hired gun. You know, the season's about ready to start. He ends up signing with somebody that's pretty good, like Sacramento was, or Houston, and then makes contributions to make them even better.
It's like having an assistant coach. The NBA record for most field goals in one game without a miss. 8. Big Wilt. 1967, the year they won the championship and broke the Boston Celtics a string of 8 consecutive NBA championships.
Free throw by Miller is made. The foul was on Maurice Taylor, his 3rd.
But this guy, Brad Miller, just keeps coming. His relentless attack in every aspect, whether it's setting screens, running the floor, getting on the offensive glass.
Miller's 2 free throws have given the Kings a 5-point lead, which is the largest. 8 straight points for Sacramento.
And if you graph the production by points per quarter for the Rockets, it does not look good.
You know what, my friend? These 8 straight points began with the technical foul on Cato hanging on the rim after his dunk. With 9 to shoot,
some players,
the Rockets will inbound.
Some players you just have to ask at the end of the game, were they more helpful to you or to the other team?
Jackson finds Francis. Steve Francis unable to hit. Taylor unable to follow it. And Miller tracks down the loose ball. 4:50 left.
The double block. And now you see the confidence and the poise of the team. Sacramento that's been there so many times. Vlade caught in the lane.
Miller takes it. Yao Ming rebounds it.
This Houston Rocket team 4 straight years out of the playoffs. Such a different team than we saw throughout the first 3 quarters. Now there's dazed and confused looks on their faces.
Yao Ming operating against Devonts. There's Bibby coming around. And actually, Bibby forced that turnover.
Without question. He got into the brainwaves of Yao Ming. And Van Gundy, another timeout. At some point, he's going to run out of those.
This with 4:24 left and Sacramento up by 5.
Overs for the Rockets, leading to 23 King points in the head-to-head matchup in the backcourt. The point guard, all Mike Bibby, University of Arizona graduate, former number 2 pick in the NBA, as was Steve Francis.
Now a full timeout has been taken, Bill, with 4:24 left. We'll be back with Sacramento on top.
Here's a guy who needs to be coach of the year. It's Jerry Sloan. Final seconds, Dallas and Utah, Greg.
Well, this is a tough finish. Finley unable to hit the jump shot here. Mavericks get another opportunity, but Twan can't do it 2 nights in a row.
No, he can't, Tim.
No, you're not going to have a miracle like that twice. It did hit the rim 3 times, though. Utah, tough win.
I say it once again. Jerry Sloan doing it with smoke and mirrors, but that team continues to win in the Wild and Rockets West. Meanwhile, Lakers are finally hitting their groove. Shaquille O'Neal still just 3 points.
Back here in Houston with Sacramento on top, 88-83. Aerial views courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Overhead tonight in downtown Houston, we have the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes, continuing a 79-year tradition as the aerial ambassador and icon of the 106-year-old company. At one time, one of the Goodyear blimps was housed in nearby Spring, Texas.
This game tonight in HD, but with the Houston Rockets struggling to see anything clearly at all, particularly the basket. They've got 7 points. Houston does in the last 7.5 minutes, playing much more like the team that averages only 87 points a game.
It's a big offensive trip for Sacramento. Devonts against Yao Ming.
Brad Miller.
Rebound follow, Brad Miller.
Brad Miller has had a marvelous second half. Both he and Vlade were torched by Yao Ming early. But their superior conditioning, their experience, their toughness, their grit, that's been the difference here down the stretch as they've controlled the basket area.
Taylor guarded by Miller. And Taylor driving it down the lane, draws the foul as he got the pass out.
It's a bailout call against the Sacramento Kings as Vlade just comes and occupies the attention of Yao Ming, who then can't recover. And with Maurice Taylor just getting outworked by the craftiness of Brad Miller, what's Van Gundy to do other than to stand there hands on hips in complete exasperation? I mean, what is going on here? I thought we were supposed to be a good team. We've won 7 out of 10. We've been beating everybody.
Well, Sacramento's a pretty good club, too, as we've seen here tonight. Taylor splits the free throws.
But this is their best game in a while.
Yeah, it is. And that second free throw that went down halts a 10-point run for the Kings. in this quarter. 7 of 11 for Sacramento. Houston 3 of 11 and 4 turnovers for the Rockets.
Houston's got to make it happen quick because nobody is really playing well for them.
Miller from the outside.
And everybody's starting to play well. Bibby and Jackson kept him alive, and now it's Brad Miller.
He's got 9 in the quarter. 16 in the game. 15 to shoot for Houston.
Oh, traveling violation ignored by Danny Crawford.
Loose ball rebound. Francis digs it out. Good effort by Steve Francis. Missed the shot, but stayed on the play.
Houston looks completely disorganized.
Francis. Yao Ming went over the back of Vlade Divac and picks up the personal foul.
Steve Francis just fell on the floor in disbelief that he's playing.
2 for 15. Steve Francis in the game. 14 fouls on Houston. Sacramento with an 8-point lead. They already own a win over the Rockets, that at Arco Arena early in the year when they put up 103 points, the most allowed in any game this year by the Rockets. Bibby is fouled by Francis, and Bibby shoots 2.
That game back in Arco was one of the best games that the Kings played all year, including Brad Miller, who looked at Yao Ming and said, yeah, big man, you better come and catch this. The guard comparison tonight, it doesn't get any more one-sided. I think you have to give a lot of credit to the Sacramento Kings strength and conditioning coach, Al Biancani, who's got this squad in tip-top shape.
That's Scott Padgett in the game, replacing Yao Ming for Houston.
You take Yao Ming out, it hasn't happened. They've got to start going for threes. Will Yao Ming be out for long, or does he just need a quick breath?
Bibby missed both free throws.
But to ask Scott Padgett to come and play after having sat there for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes, that's really tough.
The Rockets sellout crowd has given up on him. They've headed for home. Vlade Divac's called for the foul.
I think they've headed to the Lexus Lounge.
4 fouls on him. Some may very well be headed that way.
Not sure how many people came out of that lounge at halftime.
Got all kinds of automobiles, trucks, everything represented here at the Toyota Center. Francis against Divac.
That was only their 3rd point, that basket there in the last 4.5 minutes.
Well, they've got it down to 6.
And they said the Kings couldn't play any defense.
Jackson guarded by Mobley. 10 to shoot. Miller slipped the pick. And the ball kicked around, and Houston has it. Mobley for 3. Bibby the rebound. Up court to Jackson on a leak out. Jackson saves it inbounds to Houston.
Houston is panicking. There's a ton of time left in this game.
Mobley. But you know what? With their 3-point shooters, this is when they're effective.
But why not go to Jim Jackson?
3-on-1. And a double dribble call on Stojakovic.
Jackson is playing so well, Jimmy is. And they've just totally got away with him as Coutinho and Steve trying to do it by themselves.
Doug Christie coming in, an 86% free throw shooter. Divac is out. Rick Adelman wants good free throw shooters on the floor and good ball handlers.
But he also wants defenders against 3-point shooting.
That too. And that's exactly what Christie is. He's just a good defender, period. Chasing the ball on the perimeter. They ran Jackson off the 3. He finally misses his shot. Bibby the rebound.
If you're Sacramento, just keep running, keep pushing that ball. Force the Houston Rockets to foul. Van Gundy is calling him back off.
1 minute left and a 6-point difference.
This is a tough call by Van Gundy here.
6 to shoot for Christie.
You would think he'd want it in either Bobby Jackson or Bibby's hands there, but Peja Stojakovic.
Jackson knocked it away. Francis a recovery. And Houston calls time.
The quick hands of the guards for Sacramento have been determinant here. You got Bibby and Jackson poking balls away all night long.
And with 47.7 left, it's a 6-point lead for Sacramento. Out on NBA TV, The National Basketball Developmental League game of the week, Charleston against Columbus at 7 o'clock. Then Sunday afternoon at, on February 8th, I should say, a week from Sunday on ABC, it's the Lakers at Orlando at 12:30 Eastern.
How about the tear that Tracy McGrady was on right now? Battling through injury, knocking down threes. Rick Adelman, what a job. All his adjustments there at halftime proved prophetic.
Remember, Houston was in front. Jim Gray reported at halftime, you would have thought they were behind. And talking to the two coaches.
And that last timeout was Houston's last. And what are they going to do now? Their shooting percentage has just dropped off the cliff. 53% through the first 3 quarters. 24% for Houston in the 4th quarter alone.
Jackson finally gets it in play to Scott Padgett. Padgett shovels the ball over to Taylor. Stolen by Sacramento. And a foul called on Houston.
Such quick hands. And all those passes that are normally completed because other teams don't have that quickness and the commitment to defense, but that forced Houston's 24th turnover on the night.
And Jim Jackson, as you see the assist to turnover ratio, the Rockets with 18 assists, 24 turnovers. Bobby Jackson can add to the points off turnovers total.
But this guy's a great pressure free throw shooter, Bob Jackson.
Sacramento protects the ball, makes their free throws. They're a tough team to come back on. Both free throws made by Bobby Jackson. They're a lot like Dallas in that regard. Steve Francis turns the corner from out front. Padgett left alone for 3. That's a big hit. Padgett's first points.
Just get the ball in a great free throw shooter's hands and let him hold it.
Bibby spins away from Francis, and the foul is called on Francis. 3 fouls on Francis. Bibby to the line. Now, he's a good shooter, but he missed a couple a moment ago, and he's 3 for 7 tonight.
Christie's the guy they should have fouled right there when he had it for so long. He looked like he was trying to get fouled.
He's 86%.
Yeah, but he's been sitting for so long. And as the Lakers are going to find out, this is a young man's game.
Bibby's missed 3 in a row, and he's now 3 for 8.
But Jim Gray, sitting right here courtside, has the nicest seat in the house. Talking to Emmitt Smith and Donovan McNabb. But this is them both.
The door is still open for Houston. Missed his last 5. Bibby missed 5 free throws in a row. Mobley for 3. Taylor on the tip try follow. It's a 3-point game. And Stojakovic, the NBA's premier free throw shooter, will be on the line shooting 2.
Did I hear you correctly when you said that Mike Bibby missed the last 5 free throws?
You heard it right, my friend.
Desperation threes just time and time again. And one of the few times at the closing moments here that Brad Miller has not gotten the job done is the pushing and shoving ignored by this refereeing trio.
Dejan Stojakovic, 3 for 3 tonight, 92% on the season. Number 1 in the league. Hits the first one.
What an effortless motion. Flawless. Picture perfect in all aspects. The concentration.
And Sacramento is on its way to a victory, perhaps, in a game in which Stojakovic hasn't been a factor down the stretch.
He's only got 2 points now in the last 21 minutes.
But he adds to that with a free throw. Jim Jackson lines up the 3. Why not? He's been cooking all night, Jim Jackson. And now a play ahead to Bobby Jackson, and he's fouled from behind by Francis, and that's a flagrant.
This is a call that Dan Crawford has to make. There was no intent to injure here. No apparent intent by Steve Francis. Bobby Jackson was going down. But if you don't call this foul as a flagrant with shooting and possession, goes to grab him. Fortunately, Bobby Jackson was close to the ground already and going down.
Yeah, it's a clear path to the basket foul, so it's 1 shot and the ball. But that's what's important. They keep possession. Jackson makes good on the free throw. And a 20-second timeout taken by Sacramento with 5 seconds left. Their lead is 3. Crazy game, this NBA. Coming up Friday night on ESPN and ESPN2, an NBA doubleheader. First at 8 on ESPN, Baron Davis and the New Orleans Hornets taking on Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers. And at 9:30 on ESPN2, LeBron James and the Cavaliers battle Michael Redd and the Milwaukee Bucks. That's Friday night on ESPN and ESPN2. And Sports Center to follow when we're finished here in Houston.
A sigh of relief for the Sacramento Kings if they can hold on here. Now, what the Rockets have to do is go for the quick steal, if not foul immediately. But with all these good free throw shooters, Bibby's the guy you want to have receive the ball. Kirill giving the last-minute instructions to Vlade Divac. Bibby runs away from the ball.
They get it in to Stojakovic. Jim Jackson chasing it. And a foul called on Francis, I believe. That'll put Stojakovic back on the line with 2.1 left. Well, he hasn't scored much lately, but he's been effective from the free throw line. He's made all 5.
Beautiful execution on the sideline out of bounds by Rick Adelman's Kings. Have Peja Stojakovic be the last guy to move, having first initially set a screen and then step out to receive. Well, Bibby, the guy that's missed 5 straight free throws, he runs to the far corner and says, don't throw it this way.
Stojakovic hits them both. It's a 5-point game. 2 seconds left. Francis for 3. And Sacramento has its come-from-behind win to even up its road trip to this point at 2-2.
An impressive performance tonight. They look to be out of it. They look to be being pushed around on the road, not focused in, not concentrating, but then it all came through. With superior conditioning, the execution, and the commitment to defense of the Sacramento Kings and Mike Bibby and Bobby Jackson in particular.
And they're now 31-12 as they win tonight 99-94. Well, coming up next right here on ESPN Sports Center. From Houston, I'm Jim Durham saying so long for our entire ESPN crew. And now we head over to
hearing student William Hung.
Now we head over to
hearing student William Hung for showing up and shaking his bonbon.
Okay.
William.
Yes. Talk to me. Tell me your name. You blow me off like it's all the same. You lit it fierce and I'm taking away like a bomb. Yeah, baby. She bangs. She bangs. Oh, baby, when she moves, I go crazy 'cause she looks like a fly, but she stings like a bee, like every girl in history. She bangs, I'm wasted by the way she...
Thank you. You can't sing, you can't dance, so what do you want me to say?
You know, I have no professional training of singing or dancing. So.
We didn't believe it either.
Well, there's the surprise of the century.
Finally to the cities that hosted. Thanks for letting us block your roads and fill your stadium.
Doubleheader, the Sacramento Kings going against the San Antonio Spurs. A look at tonight's McDonald's. And Sacramento led by Peja Stojakovic, third in scoring in the NBA, averaging 25 a game. Mike Bibby coming off a superb game last night in the victory over the Houston Rockets. 28 points, 11 of 18 for the field. Spurs with a victory over the Knicks Tuesday night in New York, sparked by Tim Duncan. 12 for 24, 30 points, and 19 rebounds. Marv Albert with the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager, ready to go. A matchup of the #1 team offensively, the Sacramento Kings, who are averaging better than 106 points per game, and the #1 team defensively, the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio at 30-17, Sacramento 31-12. Sacramento with the best record in the Western Conference. And here comes San Antonio. Tony Parker playing the point. Parker trying to get it to Duncan, and back comes Bibby. So the Spurs will get it back.
You can see the tempo and pace of this game set already. Start out with a quick side pick and roll, then you get 2 transitions after that by the teams.
And Steve, San Antonio, a team that is still trying to feel its way. It's been up and down all season long, although recently things have turned. They have won 21 of their last 28 games. Tim Duncan able to knock it down.
Well, they have been inconsistent, but that guy right there has been solid all year. He's been solid his whole career. The guy is just night in and night out, just nails. He's really the entire concept of this team is based on Tim Duncan.
Nice pass from Bibby, and Divac is fouled. Steve Javy, the outside official, with the indication it's on Nesterovic. Sacramento at 31-12. Right on top in the West, half game in front of Minnesota. Minnesota lost in the late game last night at Golden State. San Antonio 30-17 in the number 3 slot, and they are 3 games back. There is Rick Adelman, head coach of the Sacramento Kings. Kings 21-3 at home. That's the best home record in the league. And Vlade Divac just did get a piece of that rim.
There's so many great things you could look at as far as the matchups between these two teams. Not only are the records very close, but statistically, you're talking about the opposite ends of the spectrum. The best defensive team in the league in so many categories, San Antonio, against the best offensive team. Sacramento, we saw the great move that time to the baseline by Tim Duncan.
Doug Christie 0 for 7 last night of the game against the Rockets. Kings beating the Rockets in Houston 99-94. Stojakovic, who has had difficulties against Bruce Bowen. Bowen did a nice job in the 3 games that Stojakovic played against San Antonio last season.
He frequently has trouble against defenders who really get up into his body. What a move by Parker.
What a gorgeous spinning move by Tony Parker, and the Spurs with a 6-1 lead. Bibby trying to go to the crossover. You saw Ginobili over to help out. Here is Bibby, rebounded by Ginobili. Greg Popovich telling us earlier that he wants to get the ball down court in a hurry. Sacramento playing back-to-back, and he feels obviously one of their weaknesses, talking of the Sacramento Kings, as Nesterovic gets the roll, is that they do not get down court.
This is a team that is not very good defensively, frankly. Part of the reason is that they give up a lot of easy hoops.
Stojakovic, and the Spurs now lead 8-3.
Well, the interesting thing is that you have the number 1 and number 2 teams in the league in point differential. That means they score at one end and they stop you at the other end. So I think, as we see the jump shot that time by Tony Parker, I think maybe Sacramento's defense is a little bit underrated.
Well, 25th in the league statistically, but maybe Mike knows something that we don't.
Numbers can be deceiving.
Here's Bibby from downtown. He had 3 last night. San Antonio 5 for 5 from the field here at the start. See Parker pull it back. He went to the crossover. And last touched by the Kings.
This offensive juggernaut of the Kings. Look at that. First in points, field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, and then there's the defense of the Spurs. They give up the fewest points. Second best at keeping people shooting the ball poorly. How about that? First in fewest assists. So it's a terrific team defense that the Spurs have.
What a fun matchup, too. Just 2 teams that play a totally different style.
Christie. Nesterovic with the outlet. Here's Parker in the open floor, working his way on Christie. Duncan on the follow.
Looks to me like Tony Parker was pulled to the ground that time with no foul call.
And how about the pace that Tony Parker is setting? Popovich talked about pushing the ball back at Sacramento, but I didn't expect this.
Spurs 12 and the Kings 3, and we are just underway here in San Antonio. Duncan with a beautiful backdoor. Ginobili. Manu Ginobili from Tim Duncan, and Rick Adelman wants to talk.
Well, gets the 5th game of a 6-game road trip for
10 from the field here at the start. Sacramento just 1 for 8.
And I think part of the reason you push the ball offensively if you're the Spurs is Sacramento can get out of position when they're in disarray a little bit. They're much better in a standstill half-court game.
Brad Miller Brad Miller has played so well in the absence of Chris Webber. Webber still recovering from surgery on his left knee. Tore up the knee last May during Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinal series against Dallas. We asked Rick Adelman when do they expect Chris Webber to return. As Duncan again is able to go last up the step. He's given the Spurs a 16-5 advantage. And Adelman says they're not sure when Chris Webber will return.
It's been a long time. You know, normally you think arthroscopic surgery, a guy will be back in 6 or 8 weeks.
If we're going to talk about free agents, there's the foul in the backcourt. We want to talk about free agents that have been signed that really have had an impact on their team. Gary Payton, obviously, with the Lakers, been very, very good. Lamar Odom in Miami has been very. But how about Miller being picked up here? I mean, what a major catch for them in the free agent market.
Rick Adelman telling us that he was surprised that Miller is that efficient as a passer. He has fit right in to the Sacramento King alignment. Here's Parker off the fake. And back comes Stojakovic. Stojakovic able to get down low. Parker got caught and is called for the foul. For more on Chris Webber, let's check in with Craig Sager.
Hey, Marv, here's an update on Chris Webber. He did practice with the team before they went on this current road trip. And according to Mike Bibby, he looks as if he can play now. However, Dr. James Andrews, who performed the surgery, also met with Chris Webber. They're being overly cautious. However, when the team gets back on Sunday, they will have 3 games in 9 days. They all are at home. He will practice with the team exclusively in full contact on Monday. They hope then he will return right after the All-Star break.
All right, Craig, Spurs have a 16-7 lead. Duncan off the double team and rebounded by Stojakovic.
Pretty amazing how well this team has played, guys, without Chris Webber. But ultimately, the playoffs, they've got to have him. He's their best player. He's a low-post force. He's a good defender in the lane. It'll be very interesting to see this club once they do get him back.
Oh, beautiful pass from Divac, setting it up for Peja Stojakovic. Well, they're 31-12 without Webber and with 5 players who were not on the roster last year.
So that tells you that, one, the staff has done a pretty good job of putting the new pieces together as Tony Parker almost keeps it in the ballpark. A little bit too long by Tim Duncan as he throws out at a double team. The staff has done a good job taking the new pieces and incorporating them. It tells you that their core guys, their main guys, are really good players.
And San Antonio has also dramatically restructured its team as Bibby knocks down a 3, so he's hit his last 2. The Kings started out 1 for 8. They've hit their last 4 shots, and Greg Popovich takes a timeout. Spurs 16 and the Kings 12 with 5:26 remaining in this first quarter. February the 15th from Staples in Los Angeles. Spurs with a 16-12 lead on the Kings.
East team better have their presses and traps in because that's a tiny East team against that big Western Conference team.
Do you think they really play any defense in the All-Star games, Art?
You know, it depends how you approach it, Steve.
Brad Miller over Tim Duncan. And the Kings are on fire. A 9-0 run. They've hit their last 5 shots. And despite that excellent start by San Antonio, it's a 2-point game. San Antonio with a victory over the Knicks in New York on Tuesday. A 77-67 game that stopped the 2-game losing streak. The Knicks with a season-low 67 points. How about a season-high 26 turnovers committed by the Spurs?
That's 77 points, and you still win by 10. I guess the Knicks played really well that night, huh?
It was a fine all-around ball game. All right, here's Divac. And the game is tied at 16.
How about the feed from Brad Miller? Averaging almost 5 assists a game this year. Unbelievable. I don't think anybody knew what kind of passer this guy is.
Well, that ends the 11-0 run by the Kings. So the Spurs up by 2.
You know, Marv, a year ago when they won the World Championship, they were 23rd in the league in turnovers, San Antonio. This year, almost exactly the same statistical number, but they're 17th in the league. So they've improved. That must mean the rest of the league has gotten worse.
Foul is called on Parker. That is his second. And now Charlie Ward will check in for San Antonio.
Good pickup for the San Antonio Spurs. They lost Speedy Claxton, who gave them penetration, ability to make a pass, create situations. Charlie Ward gives them something different. A toughness, a veteran presence, and most importantly, a three-point shot maker. Since Steve Kerr's not there any longer, they've got a guy to step in and fill his shoes to spread the defense out.
Charlie Ward in his 12th game as a Spur. Spent 9.5 seasons with the New York Knicks, involved in that big trade with Phoenix involving Stephon Marbury, and then Ward was waived. Shot clock running down. It's down to 1. Ward. And Ward signed as a free agent by the Spurs. Stojakovic is fouled by Bowen.
Charlie took number 17. I was thinking maybe he was paying homage to one of the number 17 wearers of recent past, Mario Elie perhaps, John Barry, but no, of course, it's his Heisman Trophy winner number from Florida State as a quarterback.
He did wear number 21 with the Knicks, but there's a fellow by the name of Tim Duncan with that number.
Surprised Tim didn't give him 21.
Here's Miller. Ginobili stripped and lost it. So the ball back to Sacramento.
Excellent play by Bibby defensively, who's not known for his defense. He shut down Steve Francis last night. Francis with a tough time. These Arizona guys can play.
Obviously, they must like reading about it because he's working real hard tonight at the defensive end. He got the headlines for it from last night.
And Bibby now has 7 points. So the game is tied at 18. Ward and Ginobili in the backcourt with Bowen, Nestarovic, and Duncan up front. Here's Bowen. Yes. That's his first field goal.
It's a shot that Bowen did not have 2 years ago. He's put in so much time and effort on that little pull-up.
Nestarovic with the rejection, kept alive by Devons. Shot clock down to 6. Christie. So Doug Christie with his first field goal. He was 0 for 7 last night and missed his first 2 here tonight.
What makes Sacramento so good at the offensive end is not only do they have obviously outstanding basketball players, good talent. The offensive system they run is beautiful to watch, okay? But they have people that see the plays developing and then can make the passes. Not afraid to throw it from corner to corner. And let's mention one more thing. A year ago, when this team was 3rd in scoring, 101 points per game, this man, Pete Carril, was not on the bench. He had kind of taken himself out of the mix, said he would just be an advisor. They brought him back this year, put him back on the bench. The offense now up to almost 105 points per game. This offense is different when Pete Carril is there every day with it.
Hall of Famer Pete Carril, proponent of the Princeton offense. Ito Turkoglu, one-time Sacramento King, has checked in, as has Robert Horry. Nice pass from Turkoglu to set it up for Duncan. So Tim Duncan has 10 points.
Beautiful feed by Turkoglu, something that's easier to do when you're 6'8" or 6'9" on the perimeter, like Ito is.
And the foul on Bowen.
You'll see that Duncan is fronted in the middle of the lane, so at 6'10", Turkoglu simply keeps the ball up above his head and then throws it over the top of the defender, who's much shorter than Tim Duncan.
San Antonio over the foul limit, so Peja Stojakovic, a 92% free throw shooter, leading the NBA, is On the line, getting back to Hedo Turkoglu. He sat out the last 2 games because of a bruised left thigh. At one point, he was in the starting lineup, and he shed, what, about 20 pounds?
He did, and he's shed a lot of those pounds since the beginning of training camp, because he looked heavy when he first came to San Antonio, but played extremely well the last month especially. And, of course, tonight, he's going against his ex-mates in Sacramento, so a little extra emotion for Turkoglu. Darius
Songaila, rookie from Wake Forest, who's been getting the playing time, is checked in for Sacramento. Under a minute remaining in this opening quarter. Good play by Stojakovic, recovered by Duncan. Shot clock is down to 4. Here's Duncan, has to force. Back comes Bibby. And Bibby pulls it back. Bobby Jackson, who just came on. Stojakovic checking the clock, going against his former teammate. Pops it up and draws the foul.
We're talking with Rick Adelman before the game. We asked him, why is Stojakovic so much better? He was already a great player. He said one of the things he's doing is getting them to the basket more, getting to the foul line more, and shooting so much better off the dribble. So as if it wasn't enough trouble to guard the guy out of the three-point line, now he's got that extra dimension.
Let's go back a couple weeks. Remember Larry Bird made a statement in the papers that if he only concentrated more because he's such a great shooter, you see his ability to face up and then get that quick step on you to gain the advantage before he gets fouled. Bird mentioned with the way he shoots the ball with his size, the thing he would concentrate on now is rebounding and then a little turnaround fadeaway jumper from the post area. Well, after the statement was made, interestingly, Stojakovic's rebound numbers went up almost 2 per game after the statement was made. A little bit of concentration, a little credit to Larry Bird.
But did he shoot the ball down on the post with that little fadeaway?
I didn't chart how many fadeaways he shot from the low post. I'm sorry.
Sacramento's taken a 2-point lead. There's a 4-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Nice pass. Brown not able to hit. Final seconds of this first quarter. Here's Stojakovic for 3 with 9/10 of a second remaining in the first. Stojakovic from way downtown. Turkoglu just off the mark. Stojakovic leading the way, 3 of 4 from the field. 11 points. Sacramento got off to the slow start, but they turn it around. And after one here in the Alamo series. For you, so the Czar would like your per diem, your meal allowance.
Well, I was thinking about inviting him over for dinner instead, but I guess I'd much rather just give him my meal money.
I kind of thought I would get an invitation, to be honest.
I probably got lost in the mail.
I enjoyed dinner last night. Second quarter is underway. San Antonio is led by as many as 11. The Kings now up 27-22. Shot clock running down. Here's Brown. And kept alive.
Brown did a good job of just getting a shot off with the clock run all the way down that time. They're double teaming Duncan from different areas on the floor as he makes his move.
Duncan with the tip. 12 points for Tim Duncan.
One of the things Sacramento has done the last couple of years with Duncan is they wait for him to put the ball on the floor, then come double, and then they try to rotate quickly to shooters. They don't feel like, other than Manu Ginobili, that the Spurs perimeter guys can make plays off of that defensive rotation.
Bobby Jackson playing his own long rebound.
This is a time that Sacramento has struggled on a regular basis this season when Rick Adelman starts to sub and brings out that second unit on the floor because they're different kinds of players than the first unit is. Bobby Jackson's a guy who just gets the ball and kind of makes things happen as opposed to staying with the options, running through the offense, dunking off the glass, gets fouled, goes to the line, tries to complete the three-point play.
A signature Tim Duncan basket, able to bank it home, fouled by Brad Miller.
This is vintage Duncan here, just pulling the ball underneath the defender's arms, and then it's almost impossible not to foul him.
Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Marvin, today's shoot-around, Greg Popovich stressed the importance of playing well against Sacramento. He feels there are 5 teams, 5 top teams in the West, 4 big rivals, and they have yet to beat any of them this year. They have played, this is the first meeting with Sacramento. They're 0-1 against Minnesota. They're 0-3 against the Lakers, 0-2 against Dallas. He said, we are not as bad as the 9-10 start. We're not as good as that 13-game winning streak, but we certainly are not the defending champions because this is not not the team we had last year. We're in desperate need of a win against one of the top teams.
All right, Craig, we saw Darius Songaila able to hit on his first field goal attempt. Here is Hedo Turkoglu. And a loose ball foul. Anthony Peeler, who just came on, was reaching in. Well, the first 19 games, San Antonio 9-10. They have won 21 of their last 28. They're in a very difficult stretch, as Greg indicated. And this a similar scenario to a year ago. They got up to the slow start and then came on.
And really, if you look at the Spurs the last 5 or 6 years, they've been traditionally slow starting, but they pick it up as the year goes along, thanks to this guy, who is also a slow starter, but usually finishes the season so strongly, and he's been the MVP 2 years in a row. I would expect another strong finish from him this season.
One thing Sacramento did not need to happen is Peeler misses the jumper. They did not want to get early fouls on Miller. They don't feel that Divac can play against him early in the game. If they need him at the end, then they feel Vlade with his veteran experience and stuff can be effective. They don't want to put Vlade on him early on, so now you go to Massenburg versus Duncan, and you see what happens.
Duncan has scored the last 10 points for San Antonio. So the Kings now lead 31-30. Bobby Jackson, Anthony Peeler in the backcourt. Tony Massenburg has come on as Peeler. Massenburg with Stojakovic up front and Songaila off the turnover. Back comes Charlie Ward. Ward and Devin Brown at the guards. Robert Horry up front with Hedo Turkoglu and Tim Duncan. This is Brown. See Jackson digging in. Shot clock down to 6. Brown. Brown got picked off, able to recover as he defends on Jackson. Now Ward off the mismatch. Stojakovic gave it up. Nice move. Darius Songaila, rookie from Wake Forest by way of Lithuania. In fact, played in Moscow last season. Was a second-round pick of the Boston Celtics originally, and then was traded to the Kings. Here's Turkoglu. Horry missed the tip. And rescued by Stojakovic. Jackson splitting his way through. Here's Jackson. Massenburg. Tony Massenburg, who was attending to personal matters, missed the game last night against Houston, which angered Kings coach Rick Adelman. Apparently Massenburg told the trainer, but Adelman was not pleased. Said they talked about it prior to tonight's game. And here's Massenburg back in the lineup.
All right. One is sitting with you at the table here. The other is Robert Horry.
Robert Horry and Steve Kerr.
No, Marv, I meant.
No.
Oh, yeah, it is me. That's right.
He's called every final, but it is Robert Horry, Steve Kerr. It just, when I was thinking about that in the room, I said, that is amazing.
It is, but let me ask you something. Did you not have anything good for tonight? So you did it in the form of a quiz? There were no idle thoughts.
When I gave you 3 thoughts at a time, it was too much. I just centered in on one concentrated thing tonight.
And I'm counting on Robert Horry to keep the streak alive. So it's up to him.
It's amazing when you think about it. 10 straight, could be 11 again this year. Yeah. And if you come back next year, you never know where you wind up.
So that's it.
That's it. One shot.
Sacramento 35, San Antonio 30, just under 8 remaining in the first half. Ginobili not able to hang on, and the ball back to the Kings. This is game 5 of a 6-game road trip to Sacramento. They split the previous 4, winning at Cleveland, and last night in Houston they lost at Memphis and Dallas. So this completes the Kings trip through the Texas Triangle. Songaila taking it to the rim.
Wow. I haven't had a chance to see this young guy play yet, but he's pretty impressive.
Sacramento down by as many as 11, now up by 7. Here's Ginobili kicking it out. Turkoglu. And Hedo
go 0 for 4 against his former team.
Rick Adelman's got to be thrilled with the bench production that he's got. He was very concerned before the game about the second unit coming in the second quarter and whether they would be able to sustain the offensive surge that the starters always show, and they have done just that here in the second quarter.
Jackson getting it down low, and a foul. It is on Ginobili.
Mark, you sound a little surprised when you see Songaia make those kinds of moves. He was 4 for 4 with 8 points in his performance last night.
That was Steve.
Oh, Steve was surprised.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I was surprised, and I noticed you feverishly looking in your notes to see what his numbers were last night, just in the hope that you could actually nail me on that.
Exactly.
I'd rather be accurate than be wrong on a hunch, okay?
Turkoglu protecting the dribble on the double team. Malik Rose checking in for the first time for San Antonio. Here is Ginobili. Yes! And the foul. Manu Ginobili. He's made it back from lower back problem. Spent some time on the injured list with a beautiful move, and he is hacked.
This kid has added an athleticism that was missing from this Spurs roster a couple of years ago. Now they've got a slashing guy who can get to the rim and finish.
Foul on Songaila. San Antonio at the bottom in free throw shooting. They are at 67%. That's the worst in the NBA. Although in their last game against the Knicks, they were on fire at 75. 21 of 28. Songaila gives it up. Anthony Peeler, that's a two-pointer, had foot on the line, so the Kings lead it 39-33, and Sacramento now 16 of 30. They're shooting 53%. This was after the poor start. Parker from downtown, yes. Tony Parker, 4 of 7 here in the first half. 3-point, Kings lead. Jackson, Christie, and Peeler in a 3-guard set. Songaila is up front with Massenberg. Songaila off a ball fake. It counts, and the foul. What a change of pace by Darius Songaila.
Plus, what an aggressive move to the basket. I mean, this young man wanted to throw this thing down, tried as hard as he could to get it in the rim, takes it right over to Sturridge, finishes, and gets fouled.